championship that has already been clinched by Richard Cooper and Bill Bass Suzuki. And how do? Welcome back to Donington Park, and here I have alongside me the great Neil Mackenzie, a three-time British Superbike champion, and a man, believe it or not, for such a nice guy, who I've been hearing more and more about last night, a ruthless competitor on track.
Yeah, you can't see that face when my visor's down, Jack, especially a dark visor, but yeah. No, I'm a happy chappy, friendly chappy, till I put a helmet on.
The mellow, mature Neil Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Richard Cooper then with that winning margin over Neil Mackenzie's elder boy. Taylor Mackenzie, who's doubling up, remember, in Superbikes as well today. Lee Jackson is in third place. He'll be moving to Superbikes next year. Alex Olsen has moved on to Superbikes already with Smith's BMW. Lewis Rollo is in fifth place on that beautiful humming Aprilia, V4 Aprilia, the Iron competition bike. And Chrissy Rouse, Morello Racing Kawasaki in sixth. The starting grid then, with Taylor Mackenzie on pole position, in very different conditions incidentally. Lee Jackson in second place, Richard Cooper displaying the number 1 plate in third. Chrissy Rouse is fourth. Tom Ward gets his best qualifying of the season in fifth place after dominating the two support races at Assen 2 weeks ago. He says that did him a power of good. Sixth place for Jordan Weaving, number 34. The third row is Larty, Geacock and Rollo, with Luke Hedger, Tom Neve and Fraser Rogers on row 4. So Pirelli National Superstock Thousands ready to go. That beautiful Batham's BMW that has nailed second place in the championship in the hands of Taylor Mackenzie. And really uncomfortable, slightly greasy conditions. We've had very, very light rain after overnight rain. Who's going to deal with it best? Taylor's already been down on the Tyco BMW during warm-up this morning for Superbikes, but he gets a decent start. Right alongside him, though, the orange helmet of Lee Jackson as they tip in. Whoa, they're horribly close. Round the outside, Chrissy Rouse creeps into fourth place. And a brilliant start for Tom Ward. He said his confidence had really risen, even though he knew he was riding against a relatively inferior field in Holland. Oh, wow. And you can see that the lad has really found his mojo here as he nips through into second place on that dry line. And straight out from the Honda, Tom Neve. Tom Neve on the Honda Racing Fireblade. Unfortunately, the Lincolnshire Farmer goes down early. So it's T-Mac leading from Ward, Jackson, Rouse, Richard Cooper and Larty. Hopefully he's just knocked the wind out of himself. And Taylor goes into the very point where he fell this morning in warm-up on the Tyco BMW and gets safely through.
Jack, can we stop talking about him going down the morning? That's twice now, and twice you've got my heart in my mouth. But yeah, he did slip off at Coppice this morning.
Sorry, Neil, the conditions were rather greasier then. We now seem to have a dry line, don't we? Chrissy Rouse, always courageous, has cut through then into second place ahead of Tom Ward as they come through the foggy S's. And number 1 shadowing number 2, that's Richard Cooper, followed by the orange helmet of FS3 Kawasaki's Lee Jackson.
Yeah, dry line out there now, Jack. It's been getting wider through the Ducati Tri-Options Cup race. I was watching it, they've dried up. Oh, Chrissy Rouse getting the rear end of that Kawasaki in there as they headed into Goddard. Oh, someone up and back on. Does that count as a crash? I don't think so, because the bike wasn't on its side.
That was Braden Elliott, the Australian, on the Noble Racing CPE Motorsport Suzuki. That looked like a save and a half. So on to the second lap of 15 then, with Mackenzie already with a 1.5 second advantage. Can the belligerent Chrissy Rouse make his way through and cut his way through and make some impression? Yellow flag's out.
Yellow flag, that could be for Tom Neve. Tom Neve on the Honda on that opening lap. Chrissy Rouse, digging in there, got things settled down in second. Tom Neve there on the stretcher, still being attended to. Looks like he's in a bit of pain there. And this is, you see Tom there on the inside there, backed in, heading into the old hip, and that was nasty. He just ran out of room there, just had the door closed on him and looking for that pass, but oh yeah, and he got a bit pummeled with the bike there, that Fireblade giving a bit of a pummeling, so poor old Tom in a bit of pain, having a cracking weekend as well.
Side by side, there goes Lee Jackson cutting through past Tom Ward number 2. So Ward on the Bradbury Racing, powered by Robinson's Suzuki. The lad from Canterbury, number 2. Very close mate of Bradley Ray's.
Oh, Braden Elliott,
wow.
off the bike, off the side. Bike stays upright. He manages to get back on.
He smacked the windscreen.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive stuff.
Richard Cooper and Chrissy Rouse.
Attacking Chrissy Rouse then as they go
Michael
through.
Rutter.
Michael Rutter. That is really unlikely to see. Oh, and it's on fire. Michael Rutter desperately picking up. Oh, he's left some of the flames behind.
Yeah, a bit of fuel leaked out there. Maybe the sparks caught it, but yeah, perfectly safe. Little bits of scream, not going to. And the track's still on fire there. Incredible. I'm sure the marshals will deal with that when they get a bit of space. Oh, Michael, yeah, was that Tim? Oh no, it was one of the Morello bikes down the inside. Oh, so unlike Michael Rutter, just a little bit offline there, and the Podium's BMW sort of spat him off, and just the rear end kicked. Just not like such a smooth rider. I've got a safety car.
Yeah, that came as a real surprise, didn't it?
Yeah, they'll be going to want to clean up that mess. There might be a little bit of fuel down from that bike. Yeah, and there's the flag out.
So the flag out to warn the guys as we see, there's no holding back this lad because Taylor Mackenzie knows that Richard Cooper is cutting through into second place in pursuit. Chrissy Rouse tries to respond on the Morello Racing number 69.
Oh, Taylor made a mistake there. Looks like he's going to run wide yet.
So Taylor there, just when he was trying to make his escape, overcooked it going down into the foggy S's, and that's allowed the second and third place men to nip through. So third lap of 15 then. So Taylor Mackenzie now becomes the pursuer. Richard Cooper leads, second for Chrissy Rouse.
And we are under safety car conditions now here, so these guys should stop racing. I'm sure Rich.
And in fact, should they have overtaken Taylor? What's the
technically
story?
No, because the safety car flags were out and they were under safety car conditions. So
okay. So the flag was there, but perhaps the lads didn't. They were so focused on what was happening to Taylor ahead of them that they haven't seen it.
Yeah. So the pit crews might be advised to tell the riders to swap positions, but
so the safety car is out then with the order of Cooper, Rouse, Mackenzie. Jackson has the opportunity to close right up because he got a bit detached in fourth place. Emilian Lati is there in fifth. The Finn ahead of Jordan Weaving, number 34. The South African on the Jones Dorling Racing Suzuki. The surviving Jones Dorling Suzuki, of course, because the unfortunate Ben Godfrey got wiped out in a collision going into Redgate with Kyle Ride. Kyle Ride making his first appearance on the 1000cc Suzuki, build-based Suzuki, alongside Richard Cooper. He broke his wrist, and the unfortunate Ben Godfrey got knocked unconscious, and I believe may have broken his leg as well. So all the best to those two guys. Weaving then on Jones Dorling Suzuki in sixth. Tom Ward has been levered back to seventh after that bright start. Tim Neve is in eighth place ahead of Lewis Rollo, the leading Aprilia. Those Aprilias, if you stand beside the hairpin and listen to them going off up the hill, Neil, they sound so beautiful.
Yeah, proper little race bikes. They, unlike the other bikes, I think they almost start life as a race bike and they're converted into a road bike for road use. You can see Richard Cooper there is wondering if he did pass unlawfully on the safety car. Yeah, they're putting Taylor back to the front, which is the right thing to do. So
good. Incidentally, just while we've got the slow-mo stuff going on, just a quick mention from a brilliant podcast that Chrissy Rouse puts out with the Geordie road racer Dominic Herbertson. He and Dom have a load of fun, and it's a very very well listened to podcast that goes out. So check it out.
So safety car,
two Geordie boys together, incidentally.
Safety car is in this lap.
And everybody's squirming around trying to keep those tyres in good order. It's particularly the Finn Larty on that Staff Connect Academy bike. So at the moment we've about 30 riders out there.
Yeah.
And they're all crammed up together now.
Yeah, so I think they've had a bit of exchange of gesticulations there, basically just to reorganise them. Taylor didn't realise he should have been in front, but that's good. Rich Cooper knew what was what and done the right thing, so I think they've all established where they should be, and I think that's pretty much correct. Safety car is in, so the guys can get going now. They have to be careful because the tyre temperature will have come down a little bit as they've been cruising round, so they're building up now, and no one can pull any passes till they go over the start-finish line on this lap, but the safety car is well clear, so Taylor can pretty much put the hammer down when he's ready. Safety car is in the pit lane, and we're back racing.
So he needs to just get Goddard as neat as possible and get the power down now ahead of Richard Cooper's Suzuki. So here we go, BMW, Suzuki, Kawasaki, two Kawasaki's as they go heading down to Redgate. So we're on to the 6th lap of 15, Superstock 1000.
Oh, so that's a cool tyre, Chrissy Rouse at the moment as well. That let Richard Cooper through. A little bit more traction control on that Podium's BMW, but it might just been tyre temperatures down a little bit.
So Richard Cooper already crowned champion then. Remember he enjoyed an outing on the British Superbike build-based Suzuki at Assen last time.
Yeah, the opening lap from the safety car going in. Taylor getting on the throttle there out of Redgate, kick sideways. Chrissy Rice's bike kick sideways. Richard Cooper was the big winner there. Whoa, and Chrissy Rouse managed to squeeze past Taylor, and Lee Jackson there looking menacing in 4th position as well. So,
and also Emily Lottie. Oh, Taylor! Ouch! Oh, that was a big one for Taylor Mackenzie. It looks like he's thankfully avoided being struck by anybody. He's been having such a good weekend until today.
There just seems no grip from the rear of his bike. Not quite sure what was going on there, but
Tom Tunstall is on the Integro BMW, is one of the riders that's been put off track by that incident. So, I beg your pardon, that was at the old hairpin. There was an earthfaller there, and Tom Tunstall was out in the gravel. So now at the front, Richard Cooper versus the backing in Chrissy Rouse as they're going to Goddard to complete lap 6. So that split the field apart with, as they cross the line now, number 1, Cooper leads. Jordan Weaving is now into 3rd. Tim Neve into a season's best 4th, ahead of Tom Ward. Fraser Rogers now 6th, ahead of Leon Checock, Lewis Rollo. Lee Bob Jackson back in 9th place, having virtually come to a halt. So too, Emily Larty in 10th. And I think they're putting your lad onto a stretcher at the moment. Josh Wood on the Wood Belt Racing Kawasaki was the guy who went down at the
yeah, the medics they know what they're doing. I'm sure he's in good hands there on the case immediately. You can see the spots of rain on the camera there.
Yeah,
Jack, might just be that the track is a little bit greasy there.
And it's curious weather because we've got some blue sky just above us outside the commentary position here, but there's specks of rain on the camera lens. And
yeah,
it could be. It's so disappointing if we don't see Taylor out on the Tyco BMW in the British Superbike races as they come down the hill now. And these are two guys who you expect to go pretty well in sketchy conditions.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what happened to Taylor.
Coppers here, Taylor getting on the throttle and a BMW there. Back end comes round, got no chance at all. I mean, that was really early on in the corner. You're not even getting on the throttle hard there. No grip at all from the rear there. Just
those boys did well to stay on and avoid it.
Yeah. And like Tom Need, they've got a bit of a pummeling by the bike.
So as they hum their way around Goddard's then, we're virtually half distance, completing lap 7 of 15. Jordan Weaving's impressing on the Jones Doling Suzuki in 3rd place. The South African having his best run of the season, because a season in which he's not really had almost a regular ride, but looking very, very strong. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, 1:33.91 against the 1:34s for Cooper and Rouse. So the young South African former Moto3 champion looking very good.
Yeah, and lap time's coming down, a fair bit outside the lap record, which is 1:30, so in ideal conditions, but the track's still patchy, a little bit damp, temperatures down, and as we've seen earlier, a few spots of rain on the camera lens. At this part, actually, McLean's is just a few spots there, so some drizzle in the air still. Rich Cooper, actually, in these conditions, he is the master.
That's why I'm impressed with the fact that Chrissy Rouse is living with him. With a trifle wildly on the Kawasaki.
Yeah, he's fancying a bit of a pass here into the foggy S's, and that's exactly what he does.
And a young man from Burnham Field near Newcastle upon Tyne, a maths teacher now, of course, fully qualified after getting his degree at the University of Newcastle, and he's back at the school he was once a pupil at, so hopefully making some of those pupils rather proud of this particular race that he's riding. Just be steady, lad, just be steady. Very exuberant, curly-headed lad ahead of Richard Cooper, who remains as boyish as ever. In fact, Cooper was thrilled to be presented with a drawing of himself, a portrait of himself. He looked like Pinocchio by a young kid yesterday.
Ever youthful. You get a job in the pantomime.
Couldn't he? Yeah,
Peter
well
Pan.
easily.
Yeah.
And checking back, it's Chrissy Rouse sets the fastest lap there. Tom Ward still recovering ground, back in 11th place now. This is the battle going on between... Oh, and that's Lee Jackson trying to make ground. Lee Jackson is moved up already into 5th place, so Jackson making strong progress just behind Tim Neve.
Yeah, Chrissy Rouse is a brave man, and Coops is he would definitely play the odds a bit more safe, and he'd be happy there to sit behind Chrissy Rouse. Just let Chrissy be the pioneer and see what the conditions are like out there, and Richard will just feel his way around, just try and stay out of trouble there.
A quick mention from the Team 109 Kawasaki, and Graham Irwin, the raw rookie into road racing this season, the middle of the Irwin brothers, is into the point in 15th place ahead of Barry Teasdale. As they flick through the foggy S's, then Chrissy Rouse, having set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, 33.1, gave him 0.2 of a second advantage over the start and finish line over Cooper's blue Suzuki.
Yeah, lap time's coming down there slowly. Chrissy Rouse, fastest man on that last lap, 133.1. And this lap looking better from Richard Cooper. He's just hanging in there, and as I said, just weighing things up. I'm sure he'll have a plan in the closing laps.
Chrissy Rouse, who's just had a sudden thought. What's the date today? He's
6.
Right, he's coming on, so he's only 10 days short of turning. What would it be? About 24 years old now, Chrissy.
Oh, something's happening here. Richard Cooper's lost a lot of time, whether it was with a lap rider or he made a bit of a mistake coming out of Redgate, but definitely a huge gap there between Chrissy Rouse and Cooper now.
And Jordan Weaving, of course, will be encouraged by that, as the number 34 really pins it as he sees that the champion and second place man has come back towards him. So Weaving will be getting a little excited at that prospect. Lee Jackson having a terrific race. Lee Jackson, a purple split on split 1 on this lap, as the fastest man on track right now.
Well, we'll see what Richard Cooper's got left now. If it was indeed a slower, I think it's more like a slide he's had coming out of Redgate. Didn't really see there, but it was, yeah, they lost a lot of time in that first sector. 1.1 second. He lost a second through that first sector.
There's Lewis Rollo, the Scotsman, number 8. There is the Finn Larty, and he's just ahead of Levi Day on the second of the IN competition, Aprilias. So Larty also tried to make up ground after hanging on in the aftermath of Taylor Mackenzie's mishap. Only just hanging on. So Rouse, Cooper, Weaving and Jackson, and we've got another faller, and is that number 63? That's Nico Cipriano, all the way from Jersey on the Cipriano Racing Kawasaki. And these slightly sketchy conditions, these mishaps are perhaps understandable. Chrissy Rouse with a 1.89, virtually 2-second advantage as they cross the line, and the sunshine, ironically but welcomingly coming out.
Yeah, I think it was definitely forecast to clear away, so that's good news for the guys and for the rest of the day, and good news for these guys as well. The track will be drying up by the lap, and I'm sure we're going to see some faster laps. Chrissy Rouse again, fastest man on track on that last lap.
Emily Latte on the Stove Quick Connect Academy Kawasaki in splitting the two beautiful black, silver and red Aprilias at the moment, but not seeming able to get away from Levi Day or close the gap on the young Scotsman. There's number 55, Leon Geacock. He completes the top 10 on the 11th lap of 15 with Rouse, Cooper, Weaving. Jackson did bring in the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, 132.6. So he's cutting into Jordan Weaving's advantage all the time on the FS3 Kawasaki.
Yeah, certainly is 3.4 seconds behind Weaving on that last lap, so we'll keep our eye on that. It could be a podium position still up for grabs for Lee Jackson.
So dropping downhill, this fascinating drop. You always, I don't know about you, Neil, my heart's always slightly in my mouth when people go around the Melbourne hairpin. It's because you've seen the high side.
You've seen so many on their side.
And that was a fastest lap for Chrissy Rouse, 132.4. And as they cross the line, Lee Jackson hasn't made any inroads this time round on Weaving. So a stable front four of Rouse, Cooper, Weaving and Jackson. We're on the 12th lap of 15, and the two iron competition Aprilias have got the better now of Emily Larty. So it's a battle between those two, with number 8 Lewis Rollo ahead of number 28, I beg pardon, number 26 Levi Day, the Australian. And Day's looking the quicker of the two. He's closed the gap now, having got past that green and yellow Kawasaki.
And yeah, we've got a long lap penalty for Joe Sheldon-Shaw. He actually overtook someone when the safety car was out, so he has to get around that long lap, which is just at that corner you were talking about, the Melbourne hairpin, Jack. So add on about 3 seconds really, but it's a tricky old long lap this weekend.
Levi Day, number 26, makes his move on Scotsman Rollo and sneaks through. Just very, very calmly and easily does that. Levi, who came over in 2013, he's been racing over in the UK a long time, having finished 6th in the Australian Super Sport Championship back in 2012. He also won the Australian Classic 350 and 500 Championships. There's a novel route through for a young man.
Yeah, but not unlike John Reynolds. John Reynolds started off classic bike racing and then got a bit of a bug from it, and made his way up all the way to World Superbike 500 GPs, and of course a couple of British Superbike Championships.
So crossing the line now, Levi Day, 30 years old now, turned 30 on the 20th of last month. And he is now through into 7th place. Oh, and there's the long lap.
No, that's Joe Sheldon-Shaw. Tricky to negotiate that. It's so easy just to run off there and get on the grass, so you really have to be patient. Quite a lot of the riders practice it in practice, just in case they have to do it, but some won't practice it in case they're tempting fate.
Joe had a very victorious weekend at a soaking wet Alton Park last weekend, incidentally. He was winning the big bike races there. But he's down in 18th place now on his return to BSB, just behind Milo Ward. Whoa, and they've got back markers now having to get eased aside. That was number 17 getting pushed out as we watch the battle going on between these two Ian Newton Aprilias. Beautiful bikes. The sound of them is just glorious. Rouse, 1.4 seconds to the good. Last lap, fastest lap of the race fastest lap of his race by 7/10 of a second quicker than Chrissy Rouse. Richard Cooper has cut the gap down to 1.7 seconds, but look at Jordan Weaving right up now with the Build Base Suzukis. So two blue Suzukis together here. Jones Dorling chasing Build Base and the reigning champion.
Yeah, great to see Jordan Weaving back up there. We used to see him at the front of most classes, Stock 600 and Moto3 Motorstar champion back in the day. So yeah, Jordan finding form. He's been in and out of a few teams, rode a few different bikes, but there was no question of his talent. So great to see him and battling with newly crowned champion Richard Cooper. So great end to the season for Jordan.
So as the conditions continue to improve then and the sun comes out, we're on the penultimate lap with the battle on between the Suzukis, and almost 2 seconds ahead of them is Chrissy Rouse, who could just be headed for his first victory of the season, and a very welcome one too. And which way do you decide to go around somebody? You go, oh wow, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, that is number 88, Josh Daly. Yeah, Josh Daly, and Josh Daly. Yeah, unusual to see him that far back. Maybe wrong choice of tyres or struggling a little bit.
And another faller. And I tell you what, that grass is nasty and slippery. I know that from where I parked my car. Just about sank when I got out of the car.
That looks like Leon Jaycock there walking off.
And he was in 10th place.
Yeah, that was a good ride for Leon. Yeah, tricky conditions. Like you say, you need to put a wheel on that grass and you're down, because it's really tricky. Jordan Weaving's fancying. He's already on the podium, but he's fancying getting up another step here, I think.
And that would be great for the enthusiastic Jones Dorling crew, having lost Ben Godfrey yesterday, and if Ben's is able to watch this in hospital, he'll be pleased to see his team looking so strong here. Whoa, Cooper runs wide at Goddard's as they go into the final lap then. Chrissy Rouse crosses the line. Last lap there was a 1:32.8, and these lads are a bit off him now, but he's got a 3.3 second lead because they are more concerned with one another. Here's Rouse then, through Hollywood and down Craner Curves. Here come the Suzukis.
Yeah, Rich Cooper now, he's digging in a bit, he's going to give it his all. Chrissy Rouse is not an option to catch him, but he knows he's got company in the form of the South African Jordan Weaving, so you'll see Coops now digging in, trying to hit all these spots, get the very best out of these Build-based Suzuki on this last lap, and already a tiny gap there. He's putting the pressure on Jordan Weaving from the front.
I know I'm not a racer, nor have ever been, Neil, but if I was Jordan, I think I'd happily settle for that rostrum place.
Well, it's been a long road to get him fighting for the podium. It's in the bank. It's been ultimate round of the season, so but yeah, racers are racers, and he's thinking, I need to pass that guy in front.
And he is actually, he's closed the gap once again, and in fact he's got himself in a really strong position as they hit the Dunlop straight. He is looking down the inside, but Cooper very late and tidy on the brakes into the foggy S's. He's still got at least one more opportunity.
Yeah, that little wheelie there cost Coops some time, so a couple more chances for Jordan. Risky at this one.
Oh, that's going to be a brave move then if he's going to try something into cross the bumps into Goddard's as Cooper gets terrific drive out of the Melbourne hairpin. And the pint-sized Cooper does hang on to that second place as they hit the final turn, but up ahead of him it's Chrissy Rouse taking victory. Chrissy Rouse thrilled with his first win of the season on the Morello Racing Kawasaki, ahead of the new champion, and a delighted Jordan Weaving bringing the Jones Dorling Suzuki home on the rostrum. Lee Jackson recovers brilliantly to fourth place, ahead of Tim Neve in fifth. Fraser Rogers for Geerling Kawasaki goes across the line in sixth, and Levi Day is hanging Nick seventh place ahead of Emily Latte, and Joe Collier gets the better of Lewis Rollo. But what a win for this young man. Chrissy Rouse, the maths teacher for Burnham Field near Newcastle on Tyne, a bright lad. He got 11 GCSEs, 8 of them were A's and A stars. Former Triple Challenge champion back in 2013, who first started racing motocross when he was 9, but he had his motocross bike stolen, so in 2008 decided to have a bash at road racing. Moved up to the Aprilia Super Teams and won that championship in 2009, so he's been 10 years doing this kind of stuff, Chrissy Rouse, and that's a great win for the Morello team, and a delighted Jones Dorling squad as well. So Chrissy Rouse eventually wins that by 3, and an eventful race by 3.5 seconds. We hope that Taylor Mackenzie is okay. Good to report that Graham Irwin on the Team 109 Kawasaki, the rookie, this year's complete road racing rookie, improved to 12th place in the end and got himself 4 championship points. Jordan Weaving there, number 34. What a great result for the Jones Dorling squad. So let's check out the results then. With Chrissy Rouse and Morello Racing Kawasaki in first place. Actually, Fraser Rogers is his teammate on Morello Racing. I got that completely wrong a few moments ago. So Fraser Rogers there finishes in 6th. His teammate Chrissy Rouse wins it, eventually by a handsome 3.5 seconds from the new champion Richard Cooper. Jordan Weaving, far and away best race of the season for him and the Jones Dorling squad in 3rd. Lee Jackson, FS3 Kawasaki 4th. Tim Neve, Suzuki in 5th, ahead of Fraser Rogers. Levi Day leads the Iron Competition Aprilias with a 7th place finish, ahead of Emily Larty, Joe Collier and Lewis Rollo. Points also for Barry Teasdale and his BMW, ahead of Graham Irwin, the Ulsterman, getting his best result in 12th, ahead of Tom Ward, Rob McNeely, and a final point for Thruxton winner Milo Ward, ahead of Aaron Clark, George Stanley, Joe Sheldon Shaw, Braden Elliott after one of the saves of the century, and Dan Cooper. The championship standings see Richard Cooper obviously extend his championship advantage over the unfortunate Taylor Mackenzie. who is now still 70 points clear of Lee Jackson. Alex Olsen still there in 4th place, now by just 3 points over race winner Chrissy Rouse. Lewis Rollo in 6th, still the best of the Aprilias, ahead of Tom Neve, Luke Hedger, Emily Larty and Levi Day. Eleventh place for Tim Neve, ahead of Andy Reid, who got injured earlier in the season. Tom Ward is 13th now, ahead of Billy McConnell. Ben Godfrey, all the very best to him. Joe Collier, Jordan Weaving moves up to 17th place and 37.5 points as a result of that 3rd place and 16 points. And Luke Jones, Leon Geacock and George Stanley completing the top 20. So the delighted Geordie boy then, 24-year-old Chrissy Rouse from Burnetfield. I'm really chuffed for him. That's a great, after a fairly tough season, that's a great result for him. Noticeably damper conditions at the outset of this 15-lap Pirelli National Superstock 1000cc race as they went into turn 1. A horrible accident for Tom Neve. He launches himself off the Honda, the beautiful Honda Fireblade, and then an unfortunate and unlikely accident from Super Safe veteran Michael Rutter. Taylor Mackenzie then leads the way on Rutter's teammate on the Batham's BMW, and then he has that moment and gets overtaken by Richard Cooper, the new champion. So as they go into Coppice then, a nightmare accident this time for Taylor Mackenzie. Lee Jackson and Emily Lotte somehow managed to avoid the fallen BMW, but T-Max out of the race, and then Chrissy Rouse attacks race leader and new champion Richard Cooper and sticks the Morello Racing Kawasaki to the front. From that point on, the courageous Chrissy Rouse begins to just ease out an advantage. A battle develops for 2nd place between the two Suzukis. Terrific ride by the tall South African Jordan Weaving, right in behind the pint-sized Richard Cooper as they go through the Melbourne Loop on the final lap. But up ahead of them, 3.5 seconds ahead. A terrific race, a terrific victory for a delighted Chrissy Rouse and Morello Racing Kawasaki. 2nd place Cooper, 3rd place an equally triumphant Jordan Weaving. But congratulations Chrissy Rouse, great ride.
What are you going to tell the kids tomorrow when you go back?
Larry Gardner's asking Chrissy Rouse, what are you going to tell the kids tomorrow when you go back? Well, what did you do at the weekend, sir? Well, I won a motorcycle race at Donington Park. So the 2013 Triumph Triple Challenge champion. In 2014 he did 3 rounds of the European Superstock 600 Championship incident. And scored points each time out. 11th at Podium, 12th in Jerez and 10th at the final round at Brands Hatch. Finished 4th in this championship in 2017, 11th last season. But although he's had rostrum finishes in the past, he's had a 3rd place at Brands in 2017 and 2nd places at Alton Park, Knockhill and Cadwell. And last year, 2nd at Brands Indy, 3rd place at Alton Park, but never actually won a 1000cc Superstock race. So this is a terrific performance by Chrissy Rouse.
The top 3 then, let's get them out here then. Onto the podium. This is going to be some celebration for John's Dawning Racing, because he's on the podium for the first time in his 600 since the 600 days. 3rd position.
So 3rd position will go to the former Moto 3 and 600 Superstock champ. Terrific ride, almost a comeback ride from Jordan Weaving, who really struggled to find a ride this year. 2nd place for the 1000cc Superstock champion, build-based Suzuki's Richard Cooper. And Chrissy Rouse, a very popular victory for the Geordie boy. Remember, he used to race for the late lamented Haribo Star Mix 600 Superstock team on Triumphs. Finished 9th in that championship in 2015. So Jordan Weaving enjoying his first podium finish and his best result of the year by a long way.
Richard Cooper, he's got 1 or 2 trophies.
Richard Cooper's, well, he's done nothing but win or finish on the rostrum throughout this year. It's been a brilliant season for the Nottinghamshiremen. Very well, much of course his local venue. And Chrissy Rouse will be delighted with that, as will Morello Racing. When you dress as colourfully as that, you've got to win sometimes, haven't you? Chrissy Rouse, incidentally, also a brilliant footballer. He was very close to becoming a professional footballer. But it's amazing how the lad thinks that batting around on a motorcycle is actually more fun sometimes. So 2 Suzukis and the Kawasaki on the podium there in the 1000 Superstock race, and we'll have the 600cc Superstock race coming up any minute now.